So who was the one who called Tom Hanks and said, "Got a great role for you. You'll be a goat herder."
We all did.
We all did.
We always do everything together.
We had this funny moment where we were, we don't like to think about actors when we're writing, and Tom was the same, and so we wrote the script, and then we were like, okay, who are we thinking of? And he was on the top of our list, but then you had this that kind of reaction where you thought, well, would Tom Hanks play this guy who's like a poisoner, and then he throws a critic off? Well, he might be into that part, but and then the goat herder and
a coward, not just a goat herder, a coward.
He's a very flawed human being, and you're so used to Tom Hanks as this generous, affable, kind,
Jimmy Stewart type.
Stewart guy, and we're like, he's so perfect, but do you think he would want to? And we sent him the script, and he was like, let's have a meeting. And then there's a funny story about the meeting. Just the difficulty, challenges of this film. We're going to meet him for the very first time, and we don't have a lot of money, so we're going to try to convince him. We're practicing, how are we going to convince him in the car as where the three of us are driving over?
We'll trick him. That's how.
Trick him into it. He's not going to realize he's in.
Yeah, we're practicing our spell, and then we're driving in, and just as we're driving in, they call us and say, oh, you know the deal that Warner Brother offered you, and you greenlit all of these foreign deals? They've actually retracted the offer, and they've said, you know what, we don't want to be in on this movie after all, and we're taking back our offer. And so all of those foreign deals are now dead, and we're saying, so wait, are you telling me the movie is dead? Yeah, I'm sorry, the movie's dead. And then Tom Hanks is waving to us as he's stepping out of the door.
Coming down the stairs hey guys, hello,
and
come in.
Okay, we have to go and convince Tom Hanks to be in this movie for no money that has actually just been killed. Hi, Tom.
And then we sat down in his place, in his office, and it was probably one of the most amazing meeting we've ever had.
It's reading Moby Dick, which is one of my favorite books, mentioned in the book too.
When we'd all read it just recently again.
Of 2001 on his wall, and we're like, they're like symbols of what we're trying to do in terms of an unconventional development of our art form. And then, even though we were destroyed by this information, Tom Hanks, in this meeting, this very first meeting, said, after getting so excited, talking about art, talking about cinema, and he just said, "This sounds great. I'm in. When do we start?" And we were like, "Wait, you mean you're saying yes, in here in this exact meeting?"
You're not saying
never say
my people
yes.
will call you, or we'll have my people call your people, or let me get back to you. I have to speak to my no.
No one says yes in this, but you always say that. You always have this moment at the end of a meeting. It's very nice to meet you.
Great meeting.
Great. We'll call you. But he's like, no, when do we start? Give me a date. And we're like, we'll call you. And we walked out, and that affirmation of what we were trying to do was so important to us. It was it gave us life again. We were resurrected in the span of that 2-hour meeting, 2-hour lunch. It was
we walked in, the movie was dead, and we walked out, and we knew we were going to make it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a story. This movie has, all of its elements have a similar backstory. Everybody in this movie is a prisoner of somebody else, right? Basically. Explain what Cloud Atlas is.
What?
That's a trick question.
The reason I'm saying that is to set up this video as people are watching, that this is an obscure symphony in the story of the movie that is being rediscovered or being sought by this person. If you wouldn't mind just giving us the viewer setup of the story. When we had first finished the cut and we started showing it to ourselves, and there were moments when I would travel out of the country, and you always, whenever you're traveling, especially with a visa, you always go through customs, and the customs guy, the surly customs guy says, well, what are you doing in the country? And I'm like, well, I'm a filmmaker. I make movies. And Oh yeah, what were you working on? I said, oh, it's this movie, Cloud Atlas. Yeah, who's in it? And you reveal the cast, and you say, well, what's it about? And I started on this line that it's about the sum of human experience.
Pretty good.
And it was, I mean, it's really true.
Yeah, I think I want to see that.
It's got something for everybody. And yeah, it was, it's really true that, I mean, we're trying to tell the story of this character, and the character is humanity.
Yeah, Sacha Hamon, the first time he saw the movie, he walked out and he said, you're telling these very specific, idiosyncratic stories, but ultimately the main character of the movie is humanity itself. And there's a thematic idea in the book of this eternal recurrence. And there are things that are eternally reoccurring about the human condition. That's been that way from the beginning. There have been structures of power and structures of exploitation and domination and control, and they have existed and will continue to exist. And there have been individuals that have courage and choose to struggle against those conventional power systems. And when you read the book itself, you saw that this idea was repeated in an eternal recurring kind of way, that predators became prey, became predators in this cycle, and throughout that there were people who resisted the impulse to be a predator, and tried to struggle against that form of exploitation and domination and destruction often.